Yesterday, I was on YouTube like I usually am, and I wound up going down this rabbit hole. Which, for those of you who are on YouTube regularly, you know how easy that is. Well, I found this YouTube channel called Jubilee, Jubilee, and they did a lot of like interesting videos, like things I kind of always find, topics I always find interesting, or type of discussions. But essentially, what they do, they went from like Trump supporters to like feminists versus non-feminists, atheists versus believers. It was really interesting. Well, one study or one experiment they did was regarding what it's like to be black in America. And basically, what they did was they found six people, and they were all like in this warehouse or a room, and they were kind of they were lined up, and then they would ask them a question, and then they would either move to their left to a spot of somewhat agree, or totally agree, or to the right of somewhat disagree, and totally disagree. And one of the statements was, I speak differently around non black people. And in essence, what the question really meant was, the statement really was, I speak differently around white people. Well, there were three females and three males. Well, four of the people, all two of the males and two of the females, moved to the agree side, or disagree side. One was in the disagree, and the other three were in the totally disagree. But there was one female and one male. I say they both were probably in their mid late 20s, who moved to the somewhat agree. So of course this started some rumbling with the four who were in the disagree columns, and the narrator asked, Why did you two say you somewhat agree?" And the guy was like, "Well, it's not really that I speak differently around white people or around non-black people. It's dependent on the situation. I work in a professional situation, so when I'm at work and in a business situation, I don't talk necessarily the same way I do when I'm in a casual situation." And the woman, the other person that stepped over, was basically in agreement and said the same thing. Now, this is really kind of this typically can be a real touchy subject in the black community, because there are people who are often accused, and I would say often correctly so, of pretending to be something they're not. So basically, when they're around white people, they speak totally different than when they do around their black friends, right? If they're around their family or their friends, they're using slang, and they're just talking. Whereas when they get around white people, they start trying to use bigger words, or change the inflection or tone of their voice. And the way I look at this is, it's a situational thing, right? I know for me, I don't feel like I speak any differently around black people as I do white people. And like I said, when they say non-black, that's what they mean is white people, because it's been my experience and my observation that black people will talk around Hispanic people, Arab, American, Middle Eastern, Native Americans, people of color. They will talk around other people of color the same way they talk around black people. They don't really change. But I think it's a situational thing. So, for instance, where I work, when I talk to my coworkers, I talk in a casual manner, because it's a smaller office, so we're all pretty intimate with each other. I mean, it's a kind of an intimate setting, so we all know each other. It's not some place where you literally work, and you may not you may go 2 weeks without seeing somebody. We see everybody every day. So, I may go, there may be a hey, what's up, how you doing, or a nod, or whatever. Whereas if someone from the outside, if a client comes in, or even someone who works for the company but is outside of that office, calls in or comes in, well, of course I'm not gonna be like, hey, what's up, girl, how you doing? We are supposed to be professional, so hi, how are you doing? um I don't really think it's, I think it's a situational thing. I think obviously if you're around certain types of people, if you're around a dignitary or you know someone of importance, you're not going to, it's probably not a good idea to be talking slang. um so one of the guys in the experiment was like, well, man, I don't care, I talk ever how I talk, this is me, I talk the same no matter where I am, and I don't really care. Which I get, I understand, but it is a situational thing. You know. Now, one thing I that does irritate me is when people do intentionally talk different around certain types of people, and this can work in the reverse as well because, I know, I've seen and I know white people who will just be themselves, and then whenever black people are around, you know, all of a sudden they have to act like they're the second coming of Nicki Minaj or you know of Migos or something. It's kind of it's really kind of insulting, right? So basically, if they're around you, they talk what they think is black, which of course I've come to realize, and I realized quickly in that early age, they think it's really ghetto because they think ghetto is black, and of course it's not. And that kind of irritates me. Also, look, the other people, like there are white people who grew up around black people or who have always embraced the hip hop culture or black culture in general, and they may use it, talk ebonics and use the ebonics vernacular, and I don't really have a problem with that because they're being themselves, and you can tell they're being themselves, as opposed to the people who are being fake about it, and because they always go way over the top. So, um, I thought it was a really interesting experiment. Actually, they do a lot of interesting experiments. So, like I said at the beginning, I think it's something probably should check out. It's a really cool channel. I mean, I went down that rabbit hole yesterday. I probably watched 6 hours of content, but it was worth it. But um, because you learn things from people too. Um, but in closing, I would say, look, no matter who you are, there's really no such thing as talk white or talk black or talk Hispanic. It's just talk. And like I said, I feel I'm the same regardless, right? Um, so that's it for this video. So if you like what you see, go ahead and hit that like button. And while you're there, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Visit me at my Patreon page at patreon.com/Rob Easley, or at my social media sites at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the moniker Rob Base 2110. So, till next time, remember, ignorance is a choice. So be informed, be aware. Knowledge is essential. See you.